Welcome to Comfort Time with Aunty Yunike, where we share testimony stories. Today we have a very special topic and a very special guest, and this is Miss Edith N'goma. Edith, welcome to Comfort Time.
Thank you so much, Aunty Yunike. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. So Edith, our topic for today is borrowing good or bad? And this came up when I read a clip on one of our ex-Ibenga girls' social media platforms. You know, as ex-Ibenga girls, we have continued to uplift each other, support each other, and share how we can best live our lives. So when I read that clip, I was like, okay, what is this about? It's, you know, I wanted you to say more about that. What was that all about?
Thank you so much, Aunty Yunike. I think one of our colleagues had posted something to do about a situation where they had borrowed money and they were having challenges in terms of where the relationship had gotten to, and just talking about that. And then one of our colleagues posted something that we had done in a program we call EMIT. And this is a non-profit making organization which looks at training leaders.
Okay.
Yes, so we train leaders, it's women and men as well, as well as the youth. But in particular, that program was from the women program.
Okay.
So that's the part that she shared, and that's why I'm here to discuss that in detail.
Maybe before we go deep into debt and borrowing, you can tell us a bit more about your organization. I'm sure there are people who would be interested to follow.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this organization is called EMIT, and EMIT is a non-profit making organization which specializes in leadership training, and the vision for EMIT is to train leaders to transform nations. So it's training leaders and transforming nations.
Okay.
And part of what we are doing is empowering our women leaders so that they can impact the communities they're coming from, and in the long run, when a woman impacts the community they're coming from, the nation will be impacted and make a difference.
Okay, so you only give information, or do you also support financially?
So it's information that we give, and we try as much as possible to look at how women can see how they can do something with what they're doing in the local community at local level, and where possible, if we are able to find people who can support them, depending on how they're impacting the communities, something may be given to them.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
Okay, so now back to our topic. Borrowing. Is borrowing good or bad? Why do you think borrowing is this way or that way?
Thank you so much. Borrowing is something that we cannot run away from, because even in the Bible, when you look at Exodus 22:14, it says, if anything is borrowed, it should be paid back. If what is borrowed is lost or injured, full restitution must be made. Okay. Meaning, even as a Christian, the Bible is telling us that it's possible to borrow, but let's just make sure that we pay back. And when paying back, it has to be in full.
In full, not with interest?
Well, that's another aspect now when it comes to interest, but otherwise, it's more of paying back what you got, and it's supposed to be the way you got it.
Okay.
Yes.
So what, in your work with the organization, have you seen people borrow and fail to borrow? Why did you feel that this is something you should address?
Yes, so EMIT actually offers about 18 courses over a period of 3 years.
Oh,
and
okay.
we meet twice in a year for 3 days.
Oh, okay.
And each day has a course that we take. So 3 courses by 2 in a year, that's 6 courses in a year. And over the 3-year period, we get to 18 courses.
Okay.
And the different courses teach women different things that help them to be good leaders. Because we are trying to empower leaders. One of the gaps that has been observed is that we have a lot of people that are leaders in our nation, but they don't have the knowledge and skill that they require to be effective leaders. And that is why we have this training. Now, coming to one of the courses that is offered where these issues are discussed, one of the topics that is discussed is the same issue of borrowing and lending, and the issue of debt, and how debt can really mess you up if you're not careful. And like the aspect that was posted, it talked about debt affecting your relationships. And the rule of thumb where borrowing is concerned, according to what is stipulated in that training, is that when you are lending to someone, consider it a loss. Don't expect it back.
Okay.
That way, you're not going to strain any relationships.
Okay. Oh, that I think that I've heard someone say, don't lend what you want back.
Exactly.
So only give what you know.
Even if it goes, it's fine.
It's fine.
If it comes back, well and good.
Okay.
That's the rule of thumb in lending. Yes. But to those of us that are borrowing, and this is something like I'm saying is not avoidable, because there are certain situations that may require someone borrowing. When you look at countries worldwide, they are in debt. They have borrowed, but what is important is to borrow within your means. And it is important when you are borrowing to make sure that if you have a steady income, it has to be something you are able to pay at the next payday.
Okay.
Without leaving a balance, because once you start leaving balances, then it means you're digging a hole for yourself.
Okay, how? Because I'm thinking if you pay something, at least you're reducing the debt.
That is what brings problems.
Oh.
Because it means you're not living within your means.
Oh.
Yes. What it is that we have to learn to live within our means. And if, for instance, I get 5,000 kwacha per month, and then I borrow something which is worth 10,000, then it means I'll have a burden of paying until maybe in a year, because from that 5,000, I have to lend, I have to live within that, I have to do everything that is required. And that is why when we are working with our women, we teach them the difference between needs and wants. We always have to look at what needs do I have for this particular time, and what are the wants. I have to eat. I need to have a roof over my head. I don't want to have problems with my landlord, where I'm being chased around, in terms of paying rentals. I don't want my children to starve. So I have to make sure that I have, money for those things that are needs. If I see someone advertising a nice dress, a nice pair of shoes, those are things I can do without. I won't die if I don't get them. Exactly. So those can wait until such a time that I'll have extra money for me to spend. So it is encouraged that even in borrowing, it has to be necessary. Where you borrow, not where you borrow and you find that you're paying for something which at times is not even there. So it is important to consider what one is getting and look at how they're going to manage to pay back. So what we talked about is relationships being affected, because if you lend a sister, a friend, at some point you want that money back, and you'll have to go to them and say, can I have my money back? And to the person that is borrowing, when you tell the other person to say, I'll give you the money on such and such a time, and you don't do that, then it means already the person that has lent you will lose trust. They can't trust you for your word. And the name is important to keep.
Yeah.
Because if word goes round to say, when Edith borrows, she either delays or she never pays back, then it means your name is being affected negatively, and it affects your life, it affects everything that is about you. You lose your peace, you lose your sleep, and all those may eventually affect your health.
And it's embarrassing, and just word going around that Mrs. N'goma doesn't pay back the work parent.
Exactly. Exactly.
And when you lose your name, what else do you have?
You can't walk with your head high.
No, you can't.
Yes, so it becomes different.
So it really does mess up relationships. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe to add on that, apart from losing relationships, messing up your relationships, there's also the aspect of losing your sense of wealth.
What do you mean?
When it comes to, like I indicated, you have this money that you're expecting, and you're supposed to be, improving, maybe saving or doing all those things. But if you are in debt, it means you have to continue paying that money. So even if I make money now, I may be worth 10,000, but because I'm owing, all that goes. So it means that sense of wealth is not really there for you. No matter how much you make, it's all just going in the drain. And that's why it is important to really watch how much you borrow. And like I'm saying, the best is to borrow, to live within your life, your earnings, and to also borrow something that you can clear immediately you get your next income.
Okay. But why do you think we have so many people living beyond their means? We've seen people actually committing suicide because they borrowed, they can now see that they are not going to be able to pay back, and the next thing you hear is, no, that person drank doom, they are dead. And you're thinking, what happened at Nkongole? He or she had borrowed too much, and now this is what they did. Why do you think people, especially now, and especially in the city, I don't know if it's pressure, or you see a lot of people getting into debt and either losing their name, as we've talked of, or killing themselves, and just being embarrassed every time they meet.
Like has been said, debt steals your reputation. Debt will steal your peace. Debt will steal your sleep. It just brings this negative effect on your life. And for some people, I think they may not want to stand the situation of facing other people, like we said, they can't face the situation that they are owing so much. And there are people, when you owe them, they come for their money, they say, we'll take you to court. And some people are not strong enough to face that.
Oh, yeah.
And this is why I'm saying, if we just learn to live within our means, it becomes easy. You'll find that most of the people who borrow to buy a car, they'll borrow to do things that they can do without.
Wow.
So if I can't afford a car now, I don't have enough money to buy a car, I can use a bus. Because that is what is within my reach.
My means,
and means. And it's just about looking at what are you borrowing for. Just yesterday I came across a video of a woman who said it was on social media. She fell in love with a gentleman, and that gentleman came with 3 children, and those children, he said they were his brother and sisters, because it was 2 girls and a boy. So the woman,
Not that they were his children.
No.
Wow.
He told the lady that those are his brother and sister, two sisters. So after some time, I don't know for how long they were in that relationship, but they were living together. And the man convinced her to borrow 50,000 kwacha. And she went and borrowed 50,000, gave it to the man to start a business. And these are some of the risks that, again, we look at in this EMIT, in terms of business skills. When you're starting a business, what do you look at? In terms of how do you ensure that what you're investing in is something that is going to take you somewhere, So I don't know whether they discussed the kind of business they were starting together, and the man just disappeared with that 50,000.
No.
So when you look at that woman,
boy, she's the one who borrowed.
That it's her name.
Oh wow!
So she has to start paying for something which she doesn't.
She has no idea. Oh my
exactly.
God.
And those are some of the things that leads some of these people to committing suicide. And then she says, after he disappeared, now I was asking these children, this one said, no, the truth is that ndiye badadi.
Oh my God.
You are in our mami bake, now we are in our mami bake. So
he left the children.
He left the children with her.
What?
So now she was saying, Imwe bantu, if you know this child in Gatindiwe my work, please things like that. So those are some of the things that will cause someone to, if they don't receive any counseling. Yes. So that is what leads to people committing suicide and all. It's a situation where you borrow, what you're paying for is neither here nor there. And it is good to borrow when you know you're investing in something that is going to bring back what you're borrowing for.
And you should discuss. There's no way you're a couple, you say borrow money, I do this business, and you're not part of that business. You haven't sat down to sit with an expert to show you if that is a viable business or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It reminds me of another lady who did just the same, but for her, she gave her house as collateral.
Exactly.
And then the business at the time looked very good, and it was going to, I think, bring them something.
Yes.
But then it was agriculture. And then, the rains never came. And oh dear. So now the bank said, yes, we know, we appreciate the rains didn't come. But
we want our money.
So they got her house.
Yes.
So, and that's where even the relationship ended, because now she said, how could you do this to me? Now she was homeless, and his house was also taken. Apparently they'd taken both the houses to the bank.
Yeah.
So both of them had nothing. And instead of that bringing them together, it actually split them. So each one went their own way.
That's sad.
So
yeah, so in such cases, this is where, for instance, if you are giving your house as a surety, it is important that whatever has to be paid, for instance, at the bank, if the house is able to bring that and paying for itself, that is different, because then you are safe and it's going to pay itself back. But if you are depending on other things, that's where people lose everything. That they have. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so relationship-wise, as friends, I've seen friends who have become enemies because they lent money. How can we deal with that kind of situation?
Yeah, I think I would get back to what I talked about in terms of the rule of thumb, in terms of give what you don't expect back, so that even if it's not paid back, you'll still maintain your friendship. But if it comes back, well and good. And I think it's important that as friends we are open with one another, we are honest with one another, where you tell someone to say, I'm actually not able to, you ask, instead of saying, may I borrow? That becomes different, and that helps, because then that person who's giving you will know that let me just help my friend, I shouldn't expect this money back. Yes.
Because it is possible to just give your friend knowing that they'll be at a stage where maybe in future they can also help you.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Wow. Borrowing.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I found it very interesting. I said, no, I think this is information we need to share. And thank you so much for your organization. I think that's something that people really need.
Yes, and just in case people are interested, they can always get in touch with me.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm the current chairperson for for in Zambia.
Oh, great.
We have Dr. Mavis Malambo, she's a pastor, who's the coordinator.
Oh, great.
Yes, and if anybody is interested in learning more about this, because what I've talked about is just a tip of other things that we learn in terms of debt. So it's very affordable.
Okay.
And per 3 days for the new members, it's 350 kwacha.
Oh,
and then
okay.
for the 3 days, and we give the materials.
Wow.
Yes, with a snack for the day. And if people are interested, we are here. We learn a lot.
No, I can see that. I think I'll be one of your members.
Oh, that's great. You're most
and
welcome.
Also, you said locally. Does this mean you're also international?
Yes, EMIT is actually, if I'm not mistaken, in about 17 countries.
Whoa.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And it's been in existence for over 30 years. But in Zambia, I think it's been around for about 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Yes, but now we want more women to be empowered.
Yes, no, with this kind of information, we really need more women to know about it.
Yeah.
Great. No, thank you so much for that information. I'm sure now women are going to think twice, and men, because it's not only the women who are borrowing, men too, even children.
Yes.
You know, and you find sometimes a child will borrow maybe it's 2 kwacha from a friend, and then that child starts crying or comes home and they're so miserable and you don't know why, because they borrowed and they're too scared to say I borrowed and I'm being bullied because of that.
There's maybe just one scripture I wanted to share just before we end, because you know these things as Christians we also have to look at what is it for us, you know. For Psalms 37:21 says the wicked borrows but does not pay back, but the righteous is generous and gives.
Okay. The righteous is generous and gives, meaning they're giving you.
In terms of, this is about borrowing. When you borrow, like we read in Exodus 22:14, you need to pay back. You know, in the Old Testament, they would borrow animals as well. You know, when they want maybe to plow.
To go and plow.
Exactly. Okay. So when they take that animal, it must not come back injured.
Ah, I see where the injury is coming from.
Exactly. So it means it has to be
as it was when you took it.
Exactly. So we see that even the Bible encourages us to give, but when you borrow, please make sure you pay back according to what you have agreed, or don't borrow at all. Exactly.
No. I mean, the Bible says it all. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.
So thank you so much, Edith. I think this is going to be very helpful.
Thank you so much.
It did help me when I read your clip, but I was like, no, I think I need to hear more.
Okay.
So thank you so much for accepting to share more with us. And I'm sure this will allow many other members of the public who didn't know about your organization to now go and look for it and join. I think information is power. It's not always just about money.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you have information, it really builds you and you look at life differently.
That's right.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me, Aunty Yunike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you've got it. You heard it from Comfort Time, from Mrs. N'goma. Please join her organization to learn more. 300 is very little.
Yes, for the new members it's 350, and then for returning students it's 300.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay, no, we definitely will come to join you. This information needs to go out there. So thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Stay blessed. if you haven't subscribed to Aunty Yunike, please do. And always remember to give us a thumbs up so that YouTube can share the information. I'm sure you believe and understand and know that this information should reach many people to help them to lead better lives. Don't commit suicide. You can avoid such things, because you know, in Africa, when one person commits suicide who was a breadwinner, you have killed so many people. So please don't do that. Information is here. Reach out, get the information, and lead a better life. Comfort Time continues. See you in the next video.